Can you tell us a bit about your new album, Smooth Jones?
Yeah, sure. Well, Smooth Jones I released on February 14th this year, 2016. It marks my 12th studio project, 8th independent project, and I'm not calling it quite an album, but it is the final appetizer before the album, and it completes an EP series called the Planet 9 EP series, and it's just a gift to my fans in a very grown and sexy vibe. We just celebrated the 18th anniversary of my very first single, It's All About Me, with this project release that came out 1998, the same date, February 14th, on Valentine's Day. So the project is available on all digital outlets. The physical copies are available on my website, mayamaya.com. In the shop, it comes with a vegan organic wine, Planet 9 wine, and some vegan chocolates, as well as a 17-month calendar.
So what made you decide to go the independent route?
Well, I sort of fell into independent territory upon the accidental release / leak of my fourth major project called Liberation. The release date was changed for maybe a third or fourth time, and there's a territory, Japan, that's ahead of us by almost a day. So it came out there because they didn't get the memo. And then from there it leaked everywhere on YouTube, so the album was shelved. And my lawyer basically told me that I had two choices: to go independent or go to court, sue for my back end advance. And I really just didn't feel like being in court and spend time and energy in trying to beat a dead horse. So I said, all right, I'll go independent, whatever that meant. And I didn't necessarily know what that meant until I got a call from a record label in Japan who loved my album that got leaked. So they offered me a one territory deal to do a project there. And the following year, after my major album leaked, I put out my very first independent album called Sugar and Spice, but only in Japan. And that is where I learned how to, draft all of my contracts, negotiate all of my deals, executive produce a project, and fund everything too. So that was the beginning, sort of the independent journey, and I've just stuck with it. Yeah.
How do you feel about albums being leaked?
Albums being leaked, I mean, it can be a great thing now with the internet and social media as well as promotion, but it really truly depends on the business side of it. If you've invested so much money and promotion and expectation, to have something leaked that was not planned on being leaked can be very devastating to all parties involved. It can spoil the impact and it's not quite so great on the return and the investment. So it really truly depends on the situation. I wasn't prepared, and no one was prepared for the leak that we experienced, but things happen. Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that there's a difference in music from when you first came out versus now?
Yeah, every 5 years, 10 years, there's a new wave of music, and you have all kinds of fusions happening nowadays, lots of different collaborations and genres, collaborating, fusing, clashing, mashing up. It's awesome, actually. I can definitely say that music has changed on the radio. The stations that I grew up listening to that were more R&B, soul, pop, and hip-hop are now just dominated by rap, trap, and hip-hop. But it is what it is. So I can definitely say that's the change that I've witnessed as far as mainstream radio is concerned. But music is pretty cool because there's so many different types, genres, and everyone is working together, from the DJs to the artists, artists to artists, relationships, producers are DJs, DJs are producers slash artists, and everyone's sort of in a free-for-all, I guess, platform, and the world is yours because anyone has a platform nowadays with the internet, which is a beautiful thing. And there is a market for everything.
Do you think artists are burning themselves out by releasing music back to back?
I can't really comment on back-to-back music because we are in a generation and a day and age where There is oversaturation of any type of product, and the attention span is very short. So it could be beneficial to a product or a brand or an artist to always dish out, material. It could be, but it really truly depends on the artist and the fan base and what it is you're promoting. But if you don't want to be in anything too long, I guess the best thing to do is capitalize off of what it is that you do. And if you are in the position, I don't really see where it could hurt regarding burnout. I can't really comment on that because to each his own and every situation is different.
Do you see a difference in the music industry from the 90s compared to today?
The difference between the music industry in the 90s to today, well, there are different compartments that I'll speak on. I can say that technology is completely different. When I first stepped into the game, I would rehearse before I got into the studio to know all of my parts and to lay to what we call to tape. So you had to sort of know what you were doing, because if you did mess up, you had to slice the tape to edit. Now you have laptops, you have computers, you have software like Pro Tools, Logic, Ableton, all kinds of stuff where anyone can make a record, and you can do it at your own expense and your own leisure, whether that be in your bedroom, bathroom, whatever. You can make an album anywhere and it be very financially feasible. Whereas in the 90s, you sort of, or even in the 80s, 70s, et cetera, you had to rent out studio space. You had to have an engineer. You can learn how to engineer, your own these days and dish out an album in a couple days, mix it yourself. There are different tiers and qualities of albums. There's a difference between recording R&B music and orchestras and live instrumentation that takes different types of rooms and all of that type of stuff. But it's a very fast world that we live in technology space. Regarding record stores, those are obsolete. You have these major stores like Walmart, Target, Best Buy that have sections of music. So I guess the anticipation is not as great anymore regarding albums or even physical single releases. We used to rush to the store back in the day to get that one single on CD or cassette tape because it was an event. It was not accessible like it is now on cell phones, on iTunes and digital platforms. And there's so many artists nowadays that it's really just hard to keep track of. It can be a beautiful thing because now everyone has a platform, but you get lost in the sauce, if you don't have the right support. And everything is in abundance. I would just have to say that in every facet or every area of advertising, marketing, promotion, in any space, whether that's sports, entertainment, music, whatever it might be. So we live in a very saturated world with lots available to us, lots of information. Yeah.
What was the biggest adjustment you've had to make as an artist?
Well, the biggest adjustment that I've had to make as an artist would be to protect my material, making sure that only I and my contracted engineer, mix engineer, sign paperwork. I have to generate a lot of paperwork and protect myself regarding confidentiality and hold people liable because I experienced a leak of an album that I spent 2 years on, and that is very devastating. So lots of paperwork and protection is one of the things that I've had to adjust to and make sure that I dot my I's and cross my T's on all business fronts because of accessibility and the fact that anyone can send an email. An email gets hacked into, and there you go.
Yeah.
Your work and all of your financial investment and time and heart, are in the public without the proper setup and, the business handled as well. Paper trail.
How was it ending your deals with Interscope and Universal Motown?
Well, I didn't necessarily end a deal with Interscope as far as parting ways, because it was just a transition within the Universal Music Group or umbrella, and Motown was also a Universal Music label. So it was just transitioning to a sister company. And everyone left or parted ways on good terms. You know, I still have a very cool relationship with the president, Jimmy Iovine, who's now president at Apple. And parting ways with Motown, you know, it was what it was. It was negligence on their part regarding the album leak, but I didn't spend too much time thinking about it or being bitter, because I just began to work in the independent space immediately. So there were no litigations or court cases. It was just cut and dry, free and clear, really simple and easy, you know.
Everyone knows you for your voice, your dancing, most notably tap dancing. How did you get into engineering your own music?
You know, I have to say that there are a lot of circumstances and situations that happen that sort of propel you to learn or just throw you into a new territory out of necessity. So often mishaps and issues lead to blessings, you know. So in 2003, one of my DJs that I was working with missed a flight, and I didn't have a DJ. I'd watched him, you know, use Pro Tools on the inbox, but I had to figure out something. So I had my songs and I had some TV tracks, we call them show tracks, and I just said, I have to figure this out. I have to edit my show. I don't have a DJ. I just need to press play. So that's how I fell into it. And I said, oh, this is cool. And then I started recording vocals, and then I started taking classes and courses and getting crash course sessions as well from some of the masters. And now I'm rough mixing records, and just taking matters into my own hands and keeping the budget down to a minimum as well. So it's been nothing short of a blessing to learn and sort of have to go through that situation where the DJ didn't show up. Yeah.
I'm a fan of Drake. I'm a fan of the idea of Drake, so no disrespect against Drake.
What do you mean by the idea of Drake? What does that mean?
Meaning that if he has a ghostwriter, he's an idea. He's not, meaning that it's a perception created that he's not really writing the lyrics, and it's just like here, let's make this in the factory and put it out.
I'm just on top of my game right now, Vlad, and I'm just getting blessed. I'm booked 4 or 5 times a week, 60, 75K a show, man. I'm winning right now, man, and I'm just steady trying to increase my hustle.